Very few games have been able to generate as much hype as Smash 4. Not only with its initial reveal, but even as time went on, it managed to hold on to that well beyond a year after its actual release. With an unparalleled and downright legendary roster, it's impossible to deny the impact this one game has had on the entire Nintendo fanbase. With that being said, I think it's time we pay tribute to this glorious game and look at the top 10 most hyped Smash 4 reveals. For the purposes of this list, I'm going to be looking at a few criteria. First, the character, obviously. Extra points if it's someone a lot of people want. Second, quality of the trailer. Action, music, direction, any and all aspects of the video itself. Last, and most important, hype. Fan reaction is ultimately what determines the success of a new fighter, seeing as the roster is the biggest draw of the game. Even if the trailer itself isn't perfect, a great character reveal can easily save it. With all that out of the way, let's get to it. The transition from Brawl to Smash 4 was quite a drastic one. Between then and now, we both lost and gained many beloved characters, but a few made some interesting changes on the road to HD. For the very first time in the series, an assist trophy character, an item basically, got upgraded to full-fledged playable character. Anyone that played Punch-Out knew exactly who this was as soon as the trailer started, so it wasn't really a surprise when he finally popped up. But the style of this trailer is fantastic. Everything about it is done perfectly. The animation, music, voice work, all of it is polished to a glorious shine. But I think the most interesting thing wasn't necessarily the focus. Little Mac's power meter. While an aspect of him that's very unique, what it represents is the important part. Suddenly, fighters aren't limited to the standard Smash style. They can have weird and unusual gimmicks to set them apart. An idea that would carry through all the way to the very end. That alone is worth a spot on this list, and we get a cool character to boot. This one may come as a bit of a surprise considering one of the characters shown is a returning veteran, but I adore this trailer, especially the music. For starters, we get a look at every Pokemon featured in the game, including some new ones, followed by the return of the last third of the Pokemon trainer, Charizard! And he looks awesome! Charizard was one of my favorites in Brawl, so no longer needing to switch out to the other two makes him even better. But more importantly, look at this animation. This is quite possibly the most cinematic trailer we got, and even the reveal of Greninja was interesting despite him not quite reaching the height of popularity. Why include this one then? Well, mostly the visuals are the first part, but there are two other things as well. First, the foresight. Nintendo added Greninja to the roster before Pokemon X and Y even came out, taking a complete risk on whether or not anyone would even want him in. Turns out they chose well, since Greninja became that generation's most popular starter. And second, why they showed these two together. This isn't confirmed or anything, but I like to think that Charizard and Greninja were designed to complement each other. In some respects, Charizard is just as much the Pokemon mascot as Pikachu, being possible to obtain in 4 different generations, one of which being the very first one. He skyrocketed to the #1 choice for starter Pokemon, appearing on more teams than probably any other. As such, it only makes sense to pair up the very first Fire starter, who's big and bulky, with the newest Water starter, who's small and quick. The two are complete opposites, and both were sure to bring the hype. Greninja. Story time! Does anyone else remember waiting oh so patiently for the very first Smash 4 trailer? I sure as hell do. The wait was almost impossible. But when the time finally came, the familiar cross we've all come to know appeared for the first time, and we got Animal Crossing? Or at least that's what it looked like. I was not happy when seeing this at first, but then, oh my god, it's a Smash! Now, despite the villager himself being an interesting addition, we need to consider that this trailer was the very first time we saw Smash 4. Ever. It existing was all they needed to do, but they went above and beyond to make sure it was as beautiful as possible. They even misdirected those of us wanting a console experience by starting off with the 3DS version, and then suddenly transitioning into glorious HD. And when the reveal of the game itself is only number 8, oh boy, have we got some good ones coming. Speaking of, this is kind of a personal one. I honestly just love this trailer, everything about it is perfectly done. But still, the context surrounding this trailer are important to know. First, this came out not long after an actual Smash 4 leak took place, revealing Bowser Jr., Duck Hunt, and Shulk long before Nintendo planned to show us. While that took away a lot of the hype, also consider the fact that this trailer came out during the 50 Fact Extravaganza, which exploded with new information about the game, and this trailer came with it. Following hot on the trails of 8-player Smash, they took this as an opportunity to bring in not 1, not 2, but 8 characters in the form of the Koopalings. While yes, they're all carbon copies of each other, it's still a really cool addition that perfectly connects to the 8-player reveal. The two trailers essentially worked in tandem, multiplying the hype far and beyond what the reveal of a character we already know about had any right to be, and that alone is really impressive.
Bowser Jr.
The reveal of Smash 4 brought a lot of new possibilities. Brawl first introduced the idea of bringing in third-party characters not owned by Nintendo, and they did so to magnificent effect. While seeing Sonic in Smash feels like a no-brainer now, let's not forget that, for one amazing game, we got Solid Snake, the Solid Snake in Brawl. It came completely out of nowhere and shook the foundation of what we thought we knew about our options. I think they knew, when this latest installment rolled around, they would need to recapture that magical moment and maybe even expand on it. But what's a character that everyone wants, that their new connections can make happen? I'm not even really a fan of Mega Man, and this blew my mind. I can't even imagine what a lifelong fan felt like seeing this for the very first time, especially after the very well-documented decline into obscurity that the series fell into over the years. This was the perfect way to end the original Smash 4 reveal, absolutely blowing Snake out of the friggin' atmosphere. By far the best part is seeing his comeback accompanied by as many iconic weapons as they could physically cram into one moveset. This is definitely a moment that no Mega Man fan will ever forget.
Flame Blast! Leaf Shield!
Rush Coil!
Metal Blaze! Spark Shock!
Air Shooter!
Crash Bomber! Flash Claw!
Flame Sword!
Hard Knuckle!
If I had have seen this one on paper first, not only would I have not really been interested, but I would have questioned the logic behind such a decision. And I get the feeling Nintendo expected that kind of reaction. They knew they would need to really sell it to get players on board. And what better way to do that than with the help of their on-staff meme generators, Reggie and Iwata. How could you go wrong with this? Easy, you can't. It's physically impossible to not find Reggie and Iwata fighting like it's the Matrix absolutely amazing and the highlight of your relatively short life. Okay, I'm exaggerating a bit, but you tell me it's not fantastic seeing Iwata, ex-president of Nintendo, Iwata, deliver a missile headbutt directly to Reggie's frickin' gut. That's hardcore. You cannot deny how hilariously awesome this is, and it slides perfectly into the reveal of Mii Fighters. If you somehow haven't seen this trailer, then you owe it to yourself to watch it. You won't be disappointed. The only reason this one isn't higher is because they ended up stealing the show, so instead of people talking about being able to play as Miis, they were talking about watching the two presidents of Nintendo beating the shit out of each other. I'm in a bit of a minority on this one. I don't really care that much about this character. Fortunately, I don't have to, since even I have to admit that his addition is a true landmark in gaming, even more so than getting Sonic. After all, what's more high profile than one of the oldest and most recognizable characters in gaming history? Honestly, this one makes the list from the trailer alone. Frankly, it's genius, and it's very clear they knew exactly how to best reveal him. It's clever, surprising, funny, and most importantly, it's a legend. Let's backtrack a bit to the 50-fact extravaganza. At that time, they used this lengthy presentation to display some of the new features and such coming to the Wii U version in the form of, well, 50 facts, full of things we didn't know yet, ranging from irrelevant to mind-blowing. Afterwards, there were two things on people's minds: 8-player Smash and his return. Years have passed as he wasted away, forgotten by those that created him, pushed aside in favor of a new, fresh face. But now, he strikes back. Mewtwo was a game changer. Suddenly, the roster had more potential than ever. Not only do we have third-party characters, but even the ones lost had the chance to come back. And as we would eventually come to realize, there were almost no limits to what could come next. The announcement of DLC and the fighter ballot changed everything. Before this, we already knew the roster. There was nothing left. No more reveals. Since the game came out in Japan before this, all the characters were shown worldwide beforehand by eager players spreading it around. The full list came out as just that, lists. No reveals, just here they are, go nuts. It's pretty anticlimactic. There isn't even the discovery of finding the characters for yourself. Oh, what fools we were to think Nintendo wouldn't have something else up their sleeves. This was just the beginning, and the final two on this list are the end result.
Let's dance, boy.
Bayonetta!
How is this possible? Nintendo Magic, that's how. I don't think anyone expected the fighter ballot to end up like this, even those that actually voted for her. One of the main reasons this one gets number 2 is just because of how unexpected it was. Even with Mega Man and Pac-Man, their inclusion just makes sense, you don't need to justify it. But Bayonetta? How could you actually predict that with any amount of reason? We didn't, and it was a jaw-dropper. The amount of time and effort that went into her development is ridiculous when you see how true she is to the actual games, quite possibly making her the most unusual character on the roster, and that effort paid off in spades. Every gaming news source, even some non-gaming ones, exploded when this news hit. This effect was almost doubled by another fact. Bayonetta was revealed alongside another character during an event that was advertised only as a special Smash broadcast, leaving people to believe that it would just be the ballot winner. As a result, a lot of people that saw Corrin were kinda confused. When this trailer hit, Fire Emblem Fates was only out in Japan, and this marked the 6th Fire Emblem character. To put that in perspective, Zelda has 5. 2 of those are Link. 2 more are Zelda. There were mixed emotions, as you'd imagine. Some were excited, yes, and, great for them, but it just seemed underwhelming to the general audience. Remember, we're looking at hype levels, and they were pretty low. However, Nintendo knows what they're doing, and at the last minute pulled a switcheroo and said Corrin wasn't the ballot winner. And sure enough, the hype levels reached brand new heights. But not quite as high as number 1. But before that, since you all know what it is and I'm a tease, let's look at some honorable mentions.
Duck Hunt!
Similar to Pac-Man, I'm pretty indifferent to this character, but the trailer itself is clever and really well done, and the moveset is one of the most creative on the roster, so good on you.
Ryu!
The only thing that kept him off this list is that he was completely spoiled by data miners, and it killed almost all the hype. It turned into... wait, Ryu? Like, that Ryu? Really? Oh. The reveal was ruined by curiosity, but it doesn't change the fact that the face of traditional fighters is finally in Smash, so it's at least worth a mention.
Lucina!
Honorable mention for its cool animation done by the team behind Fire Emblem Awakening and introducing 3 characters, one of which was Captain Falcon, and, that's more than enough right there. Lastly,
Palutena!
purely for the animation that preceded it. Another 2-character reveal, but I'm indifferent to Palutena herself, and Dark Pit is literally the least relevant character in the entire series. I mean, even Pichu had an event in Gen 4 and a short for the 3rd movie. That's gotta hurt. But we've wasted enough time. You all know who number 1 is, so let's get right to it.
な日が来るとは思わなかったな。
Cloud!
By far, the single most hyped character reveal in the history of Smash goes to Cloud. There are a lot of things I could say on the matter about what he and his game represents, what it could mean for Nintendo and Square, but I think it's more important to let the hype speak for itself.
You can't be serious! Oh my god! What the hell? How do they do this? Is this real? Is this real? Oh my god! Oh my... I need the curse! I need the curse! You're kidding me! Holy shit! God! How's this Smash Brothers?
Chill the f out, Sakurai! Oh my god! This is impossible. That shit is not real. That trailer is f***ing fake. I'm not.
Smash has evolved far beyond just a crossover, or even just a Nintendo crossover. It's a celebration of gaming, a celebration of the players in games from all over the world. It's not just bringing characters together to fight and beat the crap out of each other, or throw bombs at targets, or collect trophies and put little stickers on them. That's part of it, but it's not what it is. Smash is a way for people to come together in competition, friendly competition. Obviously, there's still competitive players, but even then, Smash has always had this special feel to it. Smash is not just about being the best. It's not about being a fighting game or just making money. It's not about just being Nintendo or bringing in third-party stuff for good publicity. It's not about being the best or which console is the strongest or how many shades of brown the Bloom engine can render. It's a celebration of the history of video games. It's everything from friendly and casual all the way up to twitch and you lose competitive gameplay. The series has evolved with the industry itself, and it really shows how far Nintendo has come and is willing to go. I still remember a time when they were so afraid of doing this kind of thing, of bringing in other properties, or just doing really anything outside their comfort zone. Sonic, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Cloud, Bayonetta, Snake. It's about gaming. It represents all of us, Nintendo fans or otherwise, as the reason we play video games. The worlds, the characters, conflicts, rivalries, complex or simple, childish or adult. The countless reasons why we are willing to experience these stories, these characters and worlds. I'm repeating myself, but I don't really care. The countless reasons why we're all gamers. That's what Smash is. And that's why, frankly, it's one of the best franchises out there. I don't think it could ever really be topped. And I've never been more proud to play video games.